this many women, case after case, it was just simpler for him to do it this way. But because they settled the case, that doesn't mean the NFL is done with him. That means he's done with 20 of the 24 women. Now the NFL says, now we're going to have our say in the disciplinary actions. And as Skip, as you read a lot of this and you see the women that just kept coming forward, originally, you and I thought it was going to be somewhere between 4 and 8 games. But as more and more women came forward and you started reading the gory details, I'm like, I don't know how he get past a year. I really don't. I didn't see it. I didn't see a way forward that at some point in time he could come back this season. And I believe that's what's going to happen. I believe Deshaun Watson is going to miss another year of football. Last year, they just didn't play it. This year is going to be because he's going to be suspended for conduct detrimental to the NFL. And there's no other way around it. Clearly, there was a pattern of disturbing behavior. He doesn't think that he did anything wrong. He made the women feel some type of way. They felt uncomfortable, felt they were put in positions that they should have never been put in, considering what they were there to do, the service they were there to provide. And so this is where we are now. He's settled 20 to 24. I don't know what's going on with the other 4, but the NFL is going to have their say, and it's going to be hard for me to see a scenario in which Deshaun Watson is not gone for the 2022 season.
Mm. So originally I thought 8 games.
Mm-hmm.
Then the more you and I spoke about it, the more we looked deeper and deeper into it. I thought, man, is there a way he's going to be gone for the whole year? Because he already lost 1 year. And
yes.
You could argue, as the NFLPA clearly is going to,
right.
Well, he was already effectively suspended for 1 year because
right.
he didn't play last year.
Yes.
So now it could be 2 full years of no football for Deshaun.
But the NFL is going to say, yeah, he didn't play, but he got paid. This is going to be without pay. And Cleveland expected this because they structured his contract.
They did.
So the line he ain't really got no money this year. He's making $1 million base. The guys get $230 guarantee and $1 million of it is for this year. Mm-hmm. So they kind of suspected this. Kind of like when Tom Brady missed those first 4 games, he had a minimum salary, so you only going to take $200,000+ versus what he was going to schedule to make that season. This is a very similar situation, Skip. And I think the NFL is going to say, yeah, he did miss the entire 2021 season.
Yep.
But he did receive his compensation. Mm-hmm. This is going to be for a year with no compensation.
Yep. Yeah, it's almost like Cleveland validated where the NFL was going before it went there. Right,
yeah,
because they said, well, we just won't pay him much.
Right.
Okay. I would like to applaud Mike Jones of USA Today. He's been at this for a long time, and he did by far the best reporting on this topic as it broke yesterday that 20 of 24 had settled.
Right.
And up high, he got the comment from the league saying today's development has no impact on the collectively bargained disciplinary process. So the NFL is saying we're just going straight on.
Yeah.
We're nothing has changed. We don't care how many settle. The facts are the facts as we have gathered them, and we are going forward with those facts.
The settlements are behind Deshaun.
Yeah.
It's not behind. Deshaun is not behind us.
No. So Mike Jones reports in USA Today that 3 people with knowledge of the situation told USA Today that they expect the NFL will push for a 1-year suspension.
Right.
So I wasn't even sure how the new process works because it hadn't been really tested in the way it's about to get tested
Correct.
here. But all the gathered information then will go to a former federal judge by the name of Sue L. Robinson.
Okay.
And she will preside as the disciplinary officer over this case. And
I like that.
She is jointly compensated by 50-50 NFL and
the NFL. Correct. Okay.
If either side decides to appeal, or if both sides appeal, then it goes to the arbitration or the arbiter picked by Roger Goodell. It would be the individual of his choosing, or it could be Roger Goodell.
Yeah.
Okay, so ultimately, if push comes to shove, if there's any kind of impasse on appeal, the commissioner still has the final say.
I would stay out of it. And Skip, and I understand it's kind of like, because I don't know if we've ever had a situation quite like this come before him, but I think the thing is that he's in a no-win situation. Because if Roger, you're the commissioner. You could have stepped in and said 1 year. if Roger says, okay, the lady has spoken, the arbiter of whomever decided this case, well, they said it was 8 games. They said it was 6 games.
Yep.
Well, why didn't you overrule that? Because you have the jurisdiction to do that.
Okay. So
he doesn't really, he can't win in this. Because even if he gives him a year, what is everybody going to say? Trevor Bauer got 2 years. So the Skip, he's in a no-win. But that's why you make the big bucks. That's why you fly private. That's why you make $50 million a year. Is for the owners don't have Jerry Jones and Mr. Kraft and all the owners get to sit back and say, we ain't getting none of that. That's on you, Roger. He takes the arrows so they get unscathed.
Okay. But for many years, Commissioner Goodell has been criticized as being the judge, jury, executioner, right?
Yes,
like
yes.
the final arbiter, it falls on him, and he can fall on your head if he feels like it.
Correct.
So nothing in the end has really changed. I'm with you. I love that Sue L. Robinson has been chosen by both sides, paid by both sides to arbitrate this. But in the end, if there's any kind of appeals impasse, it still falls back on that there's the buck's going to stop on that desk, and it's Roger Goodell's desk.
Yeah, that's the only thing that I don't like, Skip. It shouldn't be if I go to court to fight a traffic ticket, I win. They shouldn't have to. It shouldn't go back to the chief of police. It says, well, nah, we didn't like the outcome of this, Skip, so we want to go back. No, it shouldn't do that. It should go to another independent source and says, okay, you didn't like the outcome. You like the outcome. You get an opportunity to appeal. Let's go to a different. Yeah. But Skip.
I get you. But you know, and I know, in the end, the statement from these owners that is unstated is, this is our business.
Yes.
And we have appointed this man to run our business on behalf of all 32 of us. And that man's name is Roger Goodell.
Yeah, but here's the thing. There's something that's transpiring in D.C. Be careful, Roger. You better be very, very careful with what's going on up in D.C. That there's some people that's going before Congress in the next couple of days.
It's a whole nother can of worms.
Yeah, so you open that can of worms.
Yeah.
You might not like the type of worms that come out of there.
Yep.
So that's where you better be careful, Skip, and how you do things, because I don't know if you read the letter that lady put out that happened in 2009. It doesn't paint a very good picture.
Yep. Although there were others on the team plane who said that it was an open section and that the flight attendants were passing back and forth. I don't know. I'm just trying to be balanced about it. But you make a very fair and frightening point for the National Football League. Okay. Back to Sue L. Robinson. What type of information will she be handed? Well, I'm pretty sure, as Tony Busby, who has represented the 24, as he has pointed out, that in the grand jury testimony, and by the way, both of the grand juries decided not to react to this, right? They did not file. There was no criminal charge that was sought, right? Okay, so in that testimony, there is a Houston police officer by the name of Kamisha Baker who investigated 10 of the criminal complaints against Deshaun, and she, under oath, testified that he committed several sexual crimes. And she was asked under oath, because USA Today also had this testimony, do you have any doubt about him committing any of those crimes? And she said no. Okay, that's the kind of information that will get passed on to Sue L. Robinson as she arbitrates this case.
Yes.
Well, okay, so on the one hand, 2 grand juries chose not to indict. But again, there's a sworn testimony from a Houston police officer who investigated. So that's the kind of thing that will work against Deshaun.
But they're going to probably be, Skip, in a situation. The lady that investigated is going to be very interested when they get her tape deposition and how she views Deshaun Watson and how she views celebrities in situations like this.
You can make a case.
Because for me, I don't believe I should have to prove my innocence. The state should have to prove my guilt. And a lot of times, investigators believe you should have to prove innocence. That's not the way our criminal justice system would. Skip, you don't get to allege that. Well, Shannon, you stole that. Now prove that you didn't steal it.
That's what Deshaun's attorney, Rusty Hardin, argued in this deposition.
Last I checked, that's the way the criminal justice system was put in place, that I don't have to prove my innocence. You have to prove my guilt beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yep.
So you don't get to say, well, you did this, now prove that you didn't do it. Well, shouldn't you have to prove that I did do it instead of me proving that I didn't do it? Now, I get 24 is a skip. That's a huge hurdle. No, let me take that back. That's a lot of hurdles to clear.
As we concluded the last time we spoke, it's not he said, she said, it's he said, she
24 she said.
Yes, yes.
So it's a steep hill to climb.
It is.
But like I said, somebody's going to be very disappointed. I just hate that the women had to go through this. Everybody's lives are forever changed. Deshaun, you're never going to be viewed like you were before this transpired. The women's lives are forever changed.
No doubt.
So there are no good outcomes. I mean, the settlement and it's behind Deshaun and the women get to move on with their life, but there is no moving on in a situation like this.
I agree. And yet, back to purely the football field, it's fascinating to me that Deshaun Watson, being paid $230 million, all guaranteed, will have missed 2 full years in his prime of his quarterback life.
Yeah.
And how will he bounce back both psychologically and sort of physically from